Today we'll be traveling from Doha all the way to Seattle for 14 hours. But the special thing about today's flight, let's find out how it tastes. I'm not too impressed. Getting pretty full now, but it's a very exciting day here at Doha's Hamad International Airport because after wrapping up a very enjoyable FIFA World Cup season here in Doha, it's time to once again fly QSuites, the world's best business class. On this flight on Qatar Airways, I didn't have a lot of time before boarding, so I only briefly visited the beautiful Al Morjan lounge and will save a full tour of this space for next time. Now, I've flown on QSuites a few times before, but the special thing about today's flight is that it's going to be FIFA World Cup themed, so everything from the menus to the amenity kits, there's World Cup stuff, it's going to be football themed. I'm super excited to check it out. Qatar Airways QSuites is widely considered the world's best business class. And on this flight on the Airbus A350, I found myself seated in the mini cabin in seat 10A by the window. This is a backwards facing seat that's closer to the window compared to the seats in odd numbered rows, which are closer to the aisle. And now that the economy class passengers are boarding, let's close the door. We'll take a look around the seat and explore all of its features. All of the electronic features of the QSuite are accessible via this curved seat console right by your fingertips, including a very comprehensive set of seat controls that give you all-encompassing control of the position of your seat. Obviously, the door is a huge part of the QSuite, giving you extra privacy, and I love the colors of the design here. And then right beside you, you've got this armrest that can move upwards, and then with a click of a button, it opens up to become a storage compartment. Alright, we've taken off now here on QSuites, and I'm super excited for all of the cool football-themed things here on this particular flight. You'll see here we've got the football-themed pillow, we've got an amenity kit that we're going to open up very shortly, we've got a set of menus that are also football-themed. We'll take a look at this very soon as well. And here, there's a special edition of the pajamas. We'll take a look at this after the meal. Now, Qatar Airways offers dine on demand in business class, and soon after takeoff, I was feeling rather peckish, so I decided to take a look at the menus. The broccoli miso soup and Arabic mezza caught my eye, as well as not one, but two main courses. Alright, first course of the lunch here at Doha Seattle QSuites. We've got the cream of broccoli soup. Let's give it a try, see what it tastes like. Very salty. Very salty. Probably needs a little bit of bread, balance out the flavors. Pretty enjoyable overall. Now, we had started off this flight with a Laurent Perrier Alexandra Rosé, and we're gonna go back to that in a little bit. But right now, to kick things off during the flight, I wanted to try a different kind of bubbly. This is the luxury non-alcoholic bubbly known as Sojeni that's offered on Qatar Airways QSuites. Let's find out how it tastes. So I guess I would call it basically sparkling grape juice, and if you're into that kind of thing, it's pretty delicious. After a light taste of the Sojeni, of course, it was time to go back to the Laurent Perrier. Alright guys, now it's time for the main appetizer. We've got the Arabic mezza, here we've got the hummus, tabbouleh, and mohamra, made out of chickpeas, coriander, and eggplants respectively. I've had good experiences with this dish on QSuites before, so let's give it a try this time. Top notch. Next up was the first main course, Qatari-style chicken mashkulu. This is a dish that's somewhat inspired by Indian-style curry, and I really enjoyed both the tangy flavors and the very soft texture. If you're flying Qatar Airways QSuites anytime soon, this is very much a dish that I would recommend. Now, if you've been watching these videos a fair bit, you'll know that when I'm flying, I typically order chicken, beef, or fish, or seafood for my meal. And there's always a contingent of viewers out there who are like, well, Ricky, why don't you review the vegetarian or vegan options as well? So even though that wouldn't be my first choice for a main course, on today's flight, there was a vegan laksa dish that did catch my eye. And since I'm a big fan of laksa, which is a Singaporean, Malaysian fish curry soup style dish, I thought I would give the vegan dish a try on this flight and let you know what I think. Now, most of the time when I'm flying business class or first class, I try my best to finish off all the meals that I order on this particular occasion, I don't think I'm going to finish this vegan laksa. It's not very good. Don't get me wrong, I think if you're vegan, then you'll still enjoy this dish. It's got most of the laksa flavors in there, and I mean, it's really your only choice. But for me, so much of the real laksa flavor comes through with the fish sauce, and that's obviously not present in this dish. So I think I'm going to skip the rest of it and go straight on to dessert. I would wrap up the meal with a specially themed FIFA chocolate dessert. And this sweet treat tasted just as good as it looked, especially thanks to the pistachio bits sprinkled on top. Now, I was very excited to open up these special World Cup themed amenity kits, although the actual contents inside didn't actually leave me too impressed. Now here we are, we've got the World Cup themed amenity kit. I'm super excited to check this out and see what's actually inside. Besides the name-branded Diptyque skincare items, it was very much a regular Qatar Airways business class amenity kit, just dressed up in some fun packaging. Alright, here we've got the bathrooms on the Qatar Airways Airbus A350. You can see it's quite a nice size. Mirrors on either end to make it feel even larger than it is. We've got eau de toilette right here, hand soap, baby changing table, obviously the toilet down here. Now, not only is this super useful for changing your baby, but it's also a nice little platform for changing into pajamas. Now, we've got here a special set of World Cup themed PJs that I'm going to change into right now. I love the color on it. Can't wait to put these on. Let's give it a go. Alright, check it out. World Cup pajamas here on Qatar Airways QSuites. Love the color, love the collar right here, as well as obviously the World Cup logo for this special edition of a QSuites flight during the World Cup. Now, whenever it comes to these ultra long haul flights, 14 hours, 15 hours from one side of the world to another, it's never really clear how long I should sleep. So in this case, it was a 10 a.m. departure, and I'm still feeling quite awake, but I'm going to try to nap for a few hours, because right now it's about 3 p.m. local time back in Doha, and at 6 p.m. it's going to be time to watch the World Cup football. And yes, Qatar Airways supposedly lets you watch the football directly from the Wi-Fi on board, so I'm really excited for that. I don't want to miss it, and that means I'm going to try to get some rest right now for the next 3 hours. I've woken up from my nap now, but unfortunately, because we're flying over the polar route, it does seem like the Wi-Fi and the live TV service is showing as temporarily unavailable. So it's probably going to be like this for the next few hours. Maybe I'll get to catch the next round of games, but for now, we're going to occupy ourselves by sampling the menu, and thankfully there's quite a few items to sample. So what have we got here? I've ordered 2 different items off the FIFA World Cup themed snack menu. The first thing here is called the halftime platter, and it looks like we've got some nachos, a burrito style wrap, some kind of fried item over here, 2 different fried items, some guacamole dip, and a few sweets. And then I've also gotten the fish and chips, and it's really interesting the way it's presented. There's a little syringe of something. I genuinely have no idea what this is, so I can't wait to actually try it and find out. It turns out it was vinegar in the syringe. But as much fun as the presentation was, I have to say the overall snack dishes didn't quite live up to my expectation. Okay, so just about wrapping up the snack platter over here, and I gotta say, I've seen these dishes being served on the Qatar Airways QSuites flights during this World Cup season, and I've always been curious, and now that I've given it a try myself, I've gotta say, I'm not too impressed. I mean, take the fish and chips, for example. It was a little bit flaky, a little bit dry, not really the most flavorful without a huge dollop of tartar sauce on top, but I'm not really surprised by that because fish and chips seems like the kind of thing that's pretty difficult to prepare well on a plane. I think the whole football snack platter thing was definitely a fun concept, lots of novelty here, but in practice, I think you'll be better off with the regular snack menu on Qatar Airways QSuites flights once the World Cup is over. Now, Doha to Seattle is a fairly long journey of 14 hours and 40 minutes. And so I spent some time on the flight watching the football and working on my laptop before the pre-arrival breakfast meal was served. And now it's time for breakfast. Got an iced cappuccino with sugar. Here we've got an omelet. And just to wrap things up over here, we've got a warm croissant pudding with pistachios and chocolate chips. Getting pretty full now, but It has been a long flight, so let's wrap up this meal with what looks to be a very delectable dish. Another very strong showing here on Qatar Airways QSuites now that we've arrived in Seattle. But of course, one of the best things about Qatar Airways QSuites is going to be sharing the experience with a partner on the seats right next to each other that convert into a double bed. And you can check out this video on screen right now to see that experience that I had a few months ago also on QSuites, and I'll see you over there in that video.